Hi everybody. Finally got a nice day outside, so I thought I would put myself to good use and make something that I've been wanting to do, and that is make a compost barrel for my garden that I'm going to start. And starting out, let me get this turned around. I start out with the barrel that I got last summer off Craigslist. Paid $15 for this one. I've seen them as cheap as $10 and as high as like $30. So, but you don't need to pay that much. Sometimes people are willing to give them away. And what you'll need, or let me show you what I'm going to do first. I found this on Pinterest. This is kind of what I'm going to do here. Now there's also this one here. There's two different types of stands. And I thought this one was kind of overkill on the latches. So you've got hinges there. You don't need them quite that, but this is going to be pretty airtight. And this one has 4 latches. And I thought that was overkill, but finding out that it's actually pretty good. That may be what you want. But I'm not sure what kind of stand I'm going to make first. Either that one, or if I get this turned, or that one, but they need to be pretty sturdy. So anyways, what you need is the barrel, and you need a measuring tape, a marker, latches. I only got 2 of them, but that's probably strong enough, 2, 3, or if you want to do the other type that I showed you on that one. And I used this type of a latch here, and I only got 1, but I'm thinking I probably need 3. And you'll probably need pliers, screwdrivers, wrench, whatever. You also need a jigsaw. Excuse the cat here. A jigsaw, some glue. Yeah, hi button. Pliers. You need a drill. And now I used a smaller bit. Now my other cat's going to get on the picture here too. She's like, what's going on? Anyways, you want to use a smaller drill bit and go and drill. And I measured out 12 inches around. Now you can see that these grooves here, let me lay that down. See these? There is a groove here. Actually, it goes out. Not really a groove. It goes out. And I just kind of use that as my guide. 12 inches across. And sometimes, I mean, like this one had raised letters here, so I kind of use that as a guide. So unless you have a yardstick, this isn't always the best way to go with this measuring tape here. Anyways, once you do that, don't cut it out yet, because I found out the hard way. You want to drill holes for your hinges first, because otherwise it's going to take you twice as long to measure it out, because sometimes when you open these things up, the hinges may not line up quite the way you want them to. You're going to have a gap. So mark your hinges before you cut. And this one here, I was having a blonde moment, and I did it with the latch that way, like you would always see on a door. And I'm like, and I got halfway through, and I'm like, oh no, how am I going to do that? So I had to undo it and then re-drill, remark my holes, and re-screw them on there and everything. But I used too big of a drill bit for this, and now I have a gap in between. So, but I'm going to get me a couple more latches and add on here, just so I don't have this gap here. So it's kind of flimsy right here in the corner. And then I think you could probably get like sticky weather tape or something like that, or rubber or some kind to go along the inside. That would give you a good seal. That way you're not having compost leaking out all the place whenever you're doing that, or when you're turning it and stuff. So anyways, now I use this glue here. This is from Hobby Lobby in the model department. I love this stuff. It glues just about everything. Barely put a little bit on the back side of your latch here. Make sure you don't get it inside your mechanism here. And if you used Gorilla Glue glues just about everything, and it is absolutely permanent, but it does expand. Now, if you use Gorilla Glue, Gorilla Glue, you make sure you don't get it inside that mechanism, and you can't turn your latch like that. Or maybe just put a little tiny dab there. Sorry, my camera's going on. Tiny dab just to hold it on there. Yeah, because you definitely don't want it inside your hinges, otherwise it won't turn, because it will not come off. It'll expand. So, anyways, this took me maybe a half an hour to do. If I wouldn't have cut this out first and then did all that, it would have taken a lot quicker. So, but it was pretty easy to do. So now I am going to figure out my stand and get all that cut. So, I only got yesterday. I have a dowel rod here from Home Depot. It's like a closet-sized dowel rod. And then I got a 2x4. They had the aisles closed down, so I couldn't get 2 of them. But I got one that was on clearance. They always have a clearance bin 70% off, and I'm going to be cutting it up anyways, so it didn't have to be exactly straight. But I'm not sure that's going to be enough for what I need. So I found this board here out in my dad's barn. So I'm probably going to make use of that too. That's wider and heavier duty for my stand. So anyways, I will get that going. Oh, wait. Also, you might want to wash off your barrel first. I didn't do that. I'm being lazy today. But you want to measure out your end exactly and get the exact point, and you're going to have to cut out a circle. Now, they do have drill bits that are circles for cutting like that. I think my dad has one around here somewhere, so I'm going to try and find that. If not, I will have to drill a few holes to get my jigsaw in there and cut it out the hard way. So, just a word so you are prepared for that. Okay? Hey, bye. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and do this kind of stand right here because the other one seemed a little bit more complicated and the miter cuts and everything else. So this takes a little bit less wood. So what I did is I cut out 2 pieces of that whiter wood that I found in the barn, and I just cut them straight ends like that, 36 inches both of them. And now I'm going to stand these up and do some crossbars, but it's going to have to be a little bit bigger than the width of the barrel. Now let me show you too. I could not find one of those circular blades out anywhere. So without having to go into town and buy one, I tried to go ahead and cut a hole in the middle. I measured it several times, so it was exactly 11 inches across. And I took a larger drill bit, you can see that, larger drill bit, and I drilled a couple holes to start it out. And then I took my jigsaw and I cut it. But you're going to have to go really slow and press down hard with your jigsaw because the jigsaw tends to go in a straight line. They don't want to cut circles. So if you want a perfect circle, I advise you to get the drill bit that cuts circles and get one the size of your pole that you're going to use, like that. Because this side, I did this size first, and they're a little bit bigger, but I have a little piece there that it started going straight, and I had to cut it several times to start over. So I'll probably end up gluing that one. But just to save yourself time, and it looks nice, it'll have a nicer, better fit. I would definitely get one of those drill things that it's a circular drill hole maker, whatever you want to call them. All this stuff is new to me, so bear with me. This is the first time I even used a circular saw. I went to a pawn shop yesterday and bought me a circular saw. I got that for $15, and I bought me a Sawzall for $39. It's like $59 at Home Depot. And I have a drill and a jigsaw that I bought at Palm Harbor or something like that for Mother's Day. So I'm set with tools now. And this thing here is pretty cool. This is my dad's. This is a mitered saw diagram. This right here has, see those X's? That will give you a perfect corner or whatever you need, but you got to use a jigsaw or handsaw, or actually a handsaw with that. But those things are pretty handy, pretty cool. But anyways, I don't need that today, so now I'm going to measure out the width of my barrel and cut this 2x4, cut 2 of those for the base part right there. This is what I'm going to cut right next, is that right there. And then I'm going to figure out my length for those poles there, and I'm going to hammer them or screw them in, whatever I can find that'll work. So, okay, here we go. Okay, now I'm getting ready. I have these 2 beams here cut. Whoops, turn that back. I have these 2 beams here cut. Now I'm getting ready to cut these poles here, and I decided I wanted them 36 inches high. That's going to be a good height for my barrel to be up. And then I marked them on my wood. I don't know if you can see that or not. Right there. Do a straight line. Now this is my first time using a circular saw, and if you've never used one before, this has guides on it, just like kind of like on a sewing machine. Right there is a groove. It says 90 degree and 45. Well, follow that line, because your blade is right behind this edge right here. So, and you want to make sure you keep that saw blade, this whole thing here, this side here, you want to keep that flat on your board. Otherwise, it's not going to cut all the way through. So when you start out right on the edge here, then you start, make sure your bottom of the metal thing is flat, and then you can press your blade on and then cut all the way through. This little thing right here, this dial, will actually turn as you go, and it'll be all the way down here when it's finished. I don't know how that happens, some kind of magic, but women and their tools. So anyways, I'm going to cut it and I'll show you what happens when I get done. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not, but now I'm doing the side that goes up. Where is it? the side that goes up here, the boards, and my sideboards that are going along that side right there. Those are the wide ones here I've already cut, 36 inches, and I've cut the other 2x4s 36 inches also. And I measure them halfway point, which is 18 inches, and I drew a straight line with a board. Just find something straight so you get a straight line. And then once all that lined up, I have a line on my board there too. Once they all lined up, I lined them up and I drilled 2 holes. This is where my screws are going to be. And the drill is not long enough to go through both of them, so I went back. It will go through part of it, so you got to go back and drill through both of them the rest of the way. And now I'm ready to change out my drill bit and put a screw bit in so that I don't have to put my nails in by hand. Otherwise it'd be a pain in the butt because those things are long. So, okay, on for the next step. Okay, I got this board all done. See, it's one side standing up and drilled in. And now this side is all measured. You want to make sure you use something straight, like I've got a piece of trim here that I used a straight line, and both sides are pre-drilled. Both of them have a line, straight line, so I can line this up. Now you want to use something, I've got like wire or something that's hard but straight. Make sure it's long enough to go through both boards. This one's not quite, but you want to line up your holes, put that in there to make sure you've got them lined up on both sides before you start drilling in, so that way you know you're not drilling in anywhere that you're not supposed to. Once that sinks through, it might sink through, but hang on to it till you find your spot there. There it goes. Once you find that spot, then get your second one, or you can drill, you can screw into it. Now these are the long screws I have, and they barely, almost stick out the other side. You got to be careful when you do that. You're not drilling into, like this is ceramic tile, but yeah, I could probably chip it. You don't want to do that. So make sure your screws are just a little bit tiny shorter than your boards are, both of your boards together. But use whatever you have, and just be aware of that when you're drilling them in. Okay. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, my stand is done. Let me tell you about the challenges here that I had. Make sure you drill your holes where you're going to put your screws all the way. Use a longer drill bit. And get you some good, I thought the drill that I got from Palm Harbor would be okay, but it's kind of a cheapie. It doesn't have the power, and that the other ones does, and I had a hard time getting some of these screws on here all the way. And you want this board to be completely flush with both boards, all surfaces, same with this side. And I had a heck of a time getting those screws in. I triple screwed on this side, and there's screws. You can see that screws on this side, 2 of them there, and 3 of them right there. So that's that. Now next I'm going to have to, since I don't have the hole, I may wait and do that. Where am I focusing my camera? The hole right here to put my barrel, my dowel rod through. I could just cut a line down here and just have it set at the pole, which I may do that, but be a heck of a lot easier if I had that circle hole thing. So word to the wise, get you one of those circle drill bits, and try and avoid knots like this. These are super hard to cut through. I found a few of them on the boards, and it's like, man, you got to really put some muscle behind it when you cut. So so far I think I'm good. I hope my barrel fits. I measured it, the length of the barrel plus the length of both boards, this size here, and a little bit longer than that, but I was thinking it was 38 inches, but I measured it 37, so it should fit. So okay, I'll show you on the flip side. Okay, so I broke down and I went to Home Depot and I bought a circle cutter. Here's what that looks like. It just fits into your drill bit just like a regular screw is, but it's got this round casing on it here that'll cut a hole, a round circle. Now my dowel rod is 1 1/4 inches, but this is 1 1/2. That way I have a little bit bigger hole. And I have measured out. I don't want to cut where that knot is. I'm going to cut right above it. So I'm going to do both of those so I can fit my dowel rod in. Okay, it is all done. I did drill out those holes here in this board, and I ended up having to drill it from both sides because it wouldn't go through all the way. And I had to hang on tight because it'll just about yank your hand off. It's like they're going to snap your wrist. But I don't know, maybe if there's another drill bit or that is longer, but that one was probably the same length as this board. But anyways, I had it worked out either way. And then once I put the dowel rod in through my barrel here and slid it on. And you probably want to have 2 people to do this, because once I got one side in, it just about dropped down and pinched my finger off. It's a lot easier if you have 2 people, but if you don't, open up your hatch and slide it in that way. Use a hammer to push it through and line it up. Anyways, here's my compost bin. It is done. I was going to get a couple more latches and I forgot while I was at Home Depot, but there it is. I did it in about a half day's time, so you can too. Just give it a try. I'm no carpenter for sure. I'm just the DIY queen on a mission. Over and out. Bye.